All right. Happy Tuesday, folks. Welcome back to the PagerDuty Twitch channel. I'm Mandy Walls, DevOps Advocate at PagerDuty. And with me today, because it's release notes day, yay, I've got Jake and Forrest. Guys, you've got 4.8.0 to share with us today. It's going to be good.
We do. 4.8 came out just last week on Thursday. So two major highlights, or the big highlights in there. The first one was kind of Jake's brainchild, and came up with a great idea for our automated diagnostics job step that will collect data from RSS feeds. So, Jake, you want to tell them a little bit more about why that's important to automated diagnostics?
Yeah, sure. So, what this plugin does, it's another job step plugin, and what it allows users to do is provide an RSS feed URL and pull events from that RSS feed and filter based off of a particular historic time frame. So I can say, give me the last 10 hours worth of events from AWS or from GitHub status page or Datadog status page. And why this is useful in the case of auto diagnostics is that in many cases when an incident happens, the first thing that responders want to do is validate whether or not this service disruption is due to their infrastructure that they are managing or due to a third party that they are dependent on, whether that's a cloud provider or a SaaS provider, because those providers have service disruptions as well. And so while you might be monitoring for these things with your monitoring tools, you don't necessarily want to alert on them all the time because you might be a service disruption in Asia and you don't have anything hosted in Asia. And so this is, again, the basis of auto diagnostics is only wanting to retrieve this information when you're actually in an incident. And so we'll be able to demo what that looks like here in a second.
Awesome. I love this one. I think this is an absolutely fantastic piece of functionality because they have so many dependent platforms underneath stuff, and like it's great when you can like say, hey, that's not my problem because there's other things bad on the internet today. So
yeah. Exactly. And so it's pretty freeform. So I mean, we've provided a pre-populated list of common status page RSS feeds you want to follow, but then users can provide whatever RSS feed from, again, third-party provider that they are dependent on.
Awesome. Very cool. And I put a couple links in the chat for folks if you want to check this stuff out. The link to the plugin documentation for the RSS feed, as well as the whole docs page for today. So all that stuff.
Yeah. So the other big highlight came out of one of our hack weeks, actually. So here at PagerDuty, we do sort of set our developers free for a couple different weeks a year. It's 1 week at a time. I think we do it twice a year.
Yeah.
Is it twice a year? Twice a year we have hack week, where our developer teams just get to go work on whatever they want to work on. And this feature enhancement has probably been requested. I looked at the, back at the history a little bit before, and it's been requested probably since the original feature came out. So this is an enhancement to our capability of job resume. So I'll kind of tee up, how it works, and then talk about the actual enhancements that we did. So job resume, if your job happens to fail, let's say you have a 3-5 step job and it fails at step 2, you can potentially, fix whatever caused the problem and resume the job at that step where it failed, right? So it actually is, it's pretty helpful for when you're building a job or, testing out a job that, I typoed that, that one command wrong. And it failed. So maybe I can just restart because it relies on all these previous steps. So that feature only used to work with our sequential workflows, right? So sequential workflows, it's going to do steps 1 through 9 in that order. and that's it. That's your only, that's the only option. Now we have the other execution strategies, right? We have parallel and the rule set, and there's also a node first workflow strategy. But for the parallel and rule set, we now support the job resume. And this was definitely a hack week, and something that wasn't easy, right? If you think about if you have a rule set, you may have rules within there that are based on other variables and things that are happening. So thinking through and really figuring that out definitely took some brain power and setting Greg Schuler free. I think Greg Schuler's been on before, but if not, we'll try and get him on here at some point.
Yeah.
But he was actually one of the original founders of Rundeck. The open source project still works here and still does great things. So, he kind of saw that this had been asked for and dove in and made this happen. So it is available in 4.8, and I think I have a couple job demos that will highlight a little bit more about what that big long rundown that I just gave.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd love to see that. Fantastic.
I think it's worth mentioning, right, that like the job resume functionality in and of itself is what really separates being, running automation through a job versus just through a script. So if your script fails halfway through and you want to start it from where it failed, there isn't really a good way of doing that. You have to really know that code well. Whereas if you break up that automation into these multiple steps and then your job fails at some, right, like step 2 out of 5, being able to resume it from that step 2 is really powerful. And, there's all sorts of reasons that a job would fail. Maybe you're waiting for a file to appear in a directory to then do something with that data. That's a common, it's a common circumstance of automation. And if the, job is only looking there, for 30 seconds, and then it appears at 40 seconds, after that step started, that would be a reason that the job would fail. And now you just want to start it from that step where you were looking for that file to exist, and you really don't want to run those steps that ran previously.
Yeah, that's a big challenge of automation, is like knowing what the current state of things are versus what you want to change. And then, like you say, it's hard to make that sort of catch up workflow when you have things that fail in the middle. I've definitely run into that a lot of times with different automation. So this would be super helpful for folks. Awesome.
Great. Well, Jake, you want to show off the I guess maybe before we get to demos, let's talk a little bit more about what's in the release notes here.
Okay. Yeah, what else is good here?
I guess we can kind of pick out our favorite highlights. The other item that's listed in our highlight section is we did patch the recent Apache's common text library vulnerability. That was, it didn't reach the what I would call log4j status, but it did get some attention from some customers. I will say the way we use those particular libraries in the product would not have made it vulnerable anyways, but because of scanners and just finding things based on you have this version of this file, it may be vulnerable. We did go ahead and get that patched up 4.4.8, as well as, and what else would I pick out of here? Our ServiceNow application that's out on the ServiceNow store is certified for Tokyo. There's obviously a ton of bug fixes out here.
One enhancement that we made was to the HTTP plugin, where now users can print the HTTP response code. And again, coming from the diagnostics universe, this is really useful because you might want to, in PagerDuty or in Slack, be very brief and succinct with, is this internal API responding the way we expect it to, and just show a status badge there. Are we getting a 200 or are we getting a 400, 500, whatever response code? And then again, using our ruleset plugin, you might want to make some conditional logic based off of, are we getting a 300 or are we getting a 400? And what sort of diagnostics do we want to retrieve or remediation do we want to execute on?
Yeah, that one sounds super interesting too. Like cut through all the other junk and just tell me, hey, that thing is working or not working. Go for that. Awesome. Cool.
Right. What else is in the list? We did, we talked about the ROI metrics last time. We did, that was an early bit. We did fix a bug with that, where it's a little bit inconsistent if you're running multiple scheduled jobs, as well as cleaned up some of the logging around it. There's lots of new packages. We updated our Docker images, so they build a little bit faster. They've got the newest round of Ubuntu updates applied to them. Yeah, so maybe let's take a look and see what some of these new features look like.
Yeah, there's a whole lot. You've got a whole lot of contributors on this one this time around too. Lots of busy people. Awesome.
Well, I can go ahead and start the share. So let me know when you can see my screen.
Yep, good to go.
All right. So this incident has already been resolved, and we're just going to start the demo from right here. Again, bringing people into the perspective of automated diagnostics, which is when an incident occurs, you want to just go and retrieve information automatically that first responders tend to go retrieve on their own, or that they need to pull in others to help them with. In this case, what we're going to do is run our cloud and SaaS service disruptions diagnostic check. And so we'll go ahead and run that job from here. And in just a second, if we refresh our timeline, what we can see is we pulled health from AWS, GitHub, and Datadog. And as described in outlining how this plugin and this out-of-the-box job should work, is just giving that first responder very quick up or down status symbol for those third-party providers. What I can do is dive into that job and actually see the verbose diagnostic output. So we can see here with AWS, there's been no recent events in that specified time range. In my case, I specified the last 3 hours. With GitHub, in fact, there was a recent issue. And so that's why it was saying that GitHub was unhealthy. And so you can say that they're looking into issues within their code spaces in Asia region. You can see that it's been resolved, but at the time of the incident occurring in PagerDuty, that may have been what was impacting what we were experiencing. And then we don't see anything from Datadog, so no recent Datadog service disruptions. And I'll quickly jump into the job definition to show you what that plugin looks like. So here we can see I've specified the RSS feed address. In this case, AWS's RSS feed, and we can check all services across all regions, which is really nice. And then here's where I specify that time range, in this case, 3 hours. And if I'm looking over a much longer period of time, I might get back 36 events or more, but I can limit how many I really want to see if I just want to see the first 3 most recent events. And then that coupled, go ahead.
Rate pre-populated some of those URLs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good call out. So as you can see here, what we've provided are some common RSS feeds that users may want to follow. We've got PagerDuty here, we've got Jira Service Management, Docker, so on and so forth. But it is a free form field, so I can populate that with Sumo Logic status page, Azure status page, RSS address. So it's not limited to just those that we've provided. Those are just suggestions and common examples. So that coupled with the progress badge is what allows us to give that status symbol, basically saying, okay, if we didn't find any events in the specified time range, then we're all good and healthy. And that's how we end up with our very quick and clean third-party service disruption status.
Awesome. And now, is there a use for these? Like if you've got folks out there that are using Rundeck and process automation without PagerDuty yet, because you're headed in that direction, is there a use for this in, say, like if Rundeck's helping me like run my CI/CD pipeline and something like falls apart in the middle, and I can go check that, I can still use these kinds of jobs to say, oh, my build server, like you said, GitHub had an outage or whatever else.
Certainly, yeah, I don't see why not. Yeah, there's flexibility in using this plugin and outside of the this incident example, such as, like you said, you're running your CI/CD. there's no reason why you wouldn't want to necessarily use the GitHub check or the Docker check or Circle CI, all of these third-party providers that people rely on day in and day out.
Awesome. Very cool.
All right, I'll go ahead and stop the screen share. Hand it over to you, Forrest.
All right.
Alrighty, there you go.
All right. So let's take a look at some of these jobs. I got these jobs, from Greg as he was developing them. He had to come up with a way to test them. We'll take a look at the sequential job and job resume, how it was prior to the update, and then we'll take a look at the rule set one. So if we look at this workflow, we know that it's just 5 in a row. And the strategy, this workflow strategy, is set to sequential today. So the way this works is it has 5 steps, and the third step has a 50% chance of succeeding. So every once in a while it will fail, and then you could resume from there. That worked before. That was the sequential. It would run through these steps in order. Now, that's pretty easy to pick up, where you left off. But where it gets complicated is with the rule set. So if we take a look at the definition for this one, we've got quite a bit more going on here. It bounces around lots of different paths within the workflow, and a couple places where it can fail. And let's see if I get lucky on the first one, because I ran this 3 times yesterday before it failed. But 50% chance, right? Rolling dice. If we expand this, we'll see that the 50% chance tasks may or may not come back with an okay. They can come back with a fail, hopefully. And we're winning today. Time to go to Vegas. So we'll run it again and see if we get a failure.
It's one of the few times where you hope that your automation actually
right.
Please, can you break? We could obviously, increase that percentage of failing in some way, but we did get a failure this time. So it failed on our first 50% chance workflow. And if we look at the workflow output, we can see that it failed at this spot. And when we go to the run again feature, we have resume execution. So it will resume where it left off and try again. It may fail again because they're still doing a percentage, guess, but you can continue to resume until it works. So
cool.
Obviously, in a real scenario, we would have fixed the problem by now, and it could resume it and continue on. But that's available for like we said, the rule set and the parallel. So parallel is where all the steps kind of run at once.
Awesome. That would be super helpful for folks who have like a lot of complex jobs and things that require a lot of steps or reach out to a lot of different components to accomplish whatever task is right there. You just don't know how long things are going to take. So awesome.
Sparkling Robot says it always goes wrong in the demo. Yes, the demo gods sometimes come to get you. It's even more awkward when success is failure and failure is success.
Right. You jinx yourself for the next time you need something to work. And it's just like, oh no, now what?
Up is down, down is up.
Exactly. It's opposite day. So awesome. Cool.
Okay. So that rounds out our 4.8 strategy.
Sweet.
And look forward to getting more feedback and talking to you again on 4.9.
Yeah, when are we still gonna have 4.9 before the end of the calendar year? Are we still looking at that?
There will be a 4.9 sometime in December.
Cool.
December being a challenging month sometimes with the scheduling and people and the right time to release and code freezes and all the things. But there will be one more release before the end of the year.
Awesome. And we'll love to have you back and talk more about that. So yeah. In the meantime, if any folks have any questions about these plugins or anything, you have questions, you want to hang out, you can join their community forums at community-pagerduty.com and check out all the things there. Looking forward to hearing how folks are using these in particular, because I think the RSS one, it just seems so obvious. Like, yeah, I totally gonna want that thing. And yeah, the resume stuff is super important. So these are some great features this time.
Yeah, that in combination with the progress badge as Jake showed it was really great to be able to see those green checks, red checks. Imagine if you built out the job and you could just check all of your services with a quick click and get those check marks back. So Jake, is there somewhere they can get that example, those example jobs?
Oh yeah.
Are they in the Automated Diagnostics Project yet?
They are. Well, they're in progress of becoming part of the out-of-the-box diagnostics project. So what Forrest is referring to is what we provide is an entire project of pre-built jobs for getting users started with the automated diagnostics use case of runbook automation. And so this is actually the first diagnostic job that we are going to recommend that users try out, because it can just hook it up really quick and easy, not have to authenticate with their specific environment.
Sweet. Where will those be? Are they published in the docs, or where's that going to live?
Yeah. So it's there's in the learning section of the Rundeck docs, the process automation docs. There's the auto diagnostic solution guide, and from there you can download the solution package.
Sweet. We'll put that in the chat for folks. And if you are watching this on YouTube later, it's in the show notes down below. So we will put that in everywhere for folks. Awesome. These are pretty sweet. Anything else you want to share or shout out this week while we're still here?
Join us for 4.9. Continue exciting stuff throughout the rest of this year.
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of good work going on here. All right. Awesome. Thank you, guys. That was short and sweet, but very powerful. So yeah, this is a good one. And looking forward to seeing how folks make use of all this stuff. So it's been great.
Likewise.
Awesome.
Good to
all
see
right,
you.
Yep. We'll see you in December. Have an uneventful week, everybody. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you never miss a stream. Follow us at PD Community and PagerDuty on twitch.tv. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you'd like to be on our stream, email us at community-team@pagerduty.com so we can feature the cool things you're doing. And don't forget, check out all of our global events on our calendar at pagerduty.com/events.